O'Reilly joins us. Good sir, what is your take on what we're seeing in the Middle East?
Well, let's start with the media because that's pretty outrageous what's going on there. When the hospital was hit by a rocket, we had almost every major national outlet report that it was an Israeli rocket based upon Palestinian health authorities and what they said. Now, Cuomo,
AKA
you and I have been in
Hamas.
the business long enough to know. Yeah, we've been in the business long enough to know. You don't report something like that based upon an agency
Hamas.
that has no interest in the truth at all. None. But NBC, CBS, ABC newscasts all did. CNN did. AP did. New York Times, Washington Post, Boston Globe, Chicago Tribune. Now, what do all those news agencies have in common that I just mentioned? What?
They are apparently not controlled by the Jewish media mafia that I have to hear about all the time. But what do they have?
Well,
What are you going to say?
I don't know about that. Yes, they have left-wing liberal management, all of them. And that's documented. There isn't one that I mentioned that isn't run by liberal executives. So the liberal mindset in America, and they're very frightened now because the cancel culture is turning on them. New York City doctor was fired today because she posted some horrendous thing about the Jews deserve what they get. They fired her. Cancel culture is coming for the left, and the left invented cancel culture. But Americans need to know that they're not getting the truth. Now, there is a way to report a story like this, and you come on, and News Nation did it, so you guys know. You basically say a hospital was destroyed. We have not been able to confirm who destroyed it. Each side is blaming the other. Is that unreasonable, Cuomo, to report the story that way?
No, I mean, look, it depends on what this show is. This show, you got to go a little deeper than that, so we went through the bases of analysis.
I'm talking about journalism in general, the reportage. And you can't analyze a propaganda outfit. You know, in 1939, the Nazis invaded Poland and started World War II, September 1st. And the Germans told their people that Poland attacked them. You remember your history? And all German people said, oh, yeah, okay. As implausible as that is, the German people wanted to believe that. And this is the key to our discussion tonight. People believe what they want to believe. If you are a progressive leftist, not just in the United States, but all over the world, you hate Israel. You think that Israel is a fascist country and it is harming the innocent Palestinians. That is a hallmark of the progressive left. You cannot be in that group unless you accept that. And that is what we are seeing. But the news media, given privileges by the founding fathers, is not supposed to be part of any group. All right? It's not supposed to be hate Trump. It's not supposed to be on one side or the other, even in a heinous political situation like this. Analysts are okay, but not reportage. And when you have all of those agencies that I just cited reporting that Israel bombed the hospital, what the deuce do you think people are going to say? And it's wrong, it's immoral, but it's not unusual with the corporate media in America today.
It's also much more dangerous than what we're used to policing because you have people responding to this information. They just don't get angry and go vote. They'll attack an embassy, they'll kill people. You may get people that get dragged into this conflict and it becomes regional and not just binary. You know, it has broader implications than just how much you hate the Democrats or the Republicans.
Well, that's true, and there will be violence in the short term worldwide because of this Hamas attack. But the other thing is the politicians and the other people who say, oh, there's got to be a ceasefire. Got to be a ceasefire. And you're going, well, that means that Hamas still stands. If you're going to be a ceasefire, you can't wipe them out. Okay, so they can do it again. Does that make any sense to anybody? So I wrote Killing the Killers. And I methodically went through in the book how the United States wiped out Al Qaeda, ISIS, Soleimani of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. We took our time, but we got them all, wiped them out. Now there's a new generation, but it's not nearly as powerful as it was. So you're telling me, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Bernie Sanders, you're telling me that Israel should agree to a ceasefire and allow Hamas don't pay any price at all for this? Go back to what it was? You're telling me that's the same strategy for the Israeli government? And the final thing I want to say is when Biden went over there, and the initial speech was two-state solution. Cuomo, you can't have a two-state solution when you only have one state, and that's Israel. Gaza, Palestine is not a state. They are run by terrorists. The terrorists dictate everything. So there's no two-state there. You've got to get rid of the terrorists. You've got to slay Hamas. Don't blow up hospitals. Let the women and children out of there. Egypt looks like it's bending a little to take them. But you got to go in and you got to destroy Hamas. And if Biden doesn't understand that, I don't even know what to tell you.
I don't know that Biden doesn't understand it. But I think that
well, then why did he say two-state solution?
Because
why would he say two-state solution?
That is the party line. Yes. It is code for saying that allow coexistence. Right. It's allow coexistence.
That's what we want from
that the Palestinians have the right to exist, the Israelis have the right to exist. But it is not nuanced in terms of how it actually happens. Absolutely not.
Palestinians are not Hamas. Palestinians don't have a state. They don't have one. Okay? Hamas dictates. And you have the President of the United States going, we need a two-state solution? Is he a moron?
The thing I've liked the best from people who want to lead us on this issue, without question, is Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley has her thumb on the most neglected piece of the formula here, which is Israel gets way too much responsibility when they have an existential threat against them to make everything better. It's the Arab neighbors. Nikki was very sophisticated about this. I keep trying to get her on the show. But she is...
Let me ask you this. Why do you think the Arab neighbors don't stand up and say, we don't want this? Why?
I think they love it. I think they love
you're wrong.
Seeing Israel. I think they love seeing Israel under attack.
I don't believe that. I believe they fear the reprisals from the Islamic Brotherhood in Egypt, from Hezbollah, from Hamas, from Iran. If one Arab leader stood up and said, that's why that meeting in Jordan was canceled. They're afraid, Cuomo, of these terrorists.
I misunderstood your question.
Assassinated. Okay. That's why they don't stand up.
Yes.
That's
why they don't stand up and say on Israel's side. I'm saying that they need to be held to task to take care of the Palestinians and help create community and help figure out what works for them instead of just complaining.
Hamas.
I know.
Hamas
but they should be in charge of getting rid of Hamas.
They want the hospitals to be blown up. So the Arabs are not going to get in the middle of this. Yeah, they're not.
Yeah, well, there's too many radical elements. Been right empirically.
Look, there's too many radical elements in Saudi Arabia. That's why they suspended the talks with Israel, and that's why Iran ordered this Hamas attack in the first place. They wanted to derail any alliance between Saudi Arabia and Israel because that empowers both nations. And that's what they did. Okay? So people need to understand what's going on here, not what the corrupt news media reports, because they're lying to you. They have people in there that don't know journalism at all. They have no idea what happened in 1948. They know nothing. These are major anchors who know nothing. And it drives me nuts because I've been in the business 50 years. And I'm going, you don't report that Israel blew up the hospital when your source is Hamas. That's insane.
Yeah.
And all of those news agencies did it.
I want to give you one little anecdote that'll feed your suggestion. I'm not going to name any names. So we're in Israel, and Blinken meets with the families. Right thing to do, of the American hostages. Now come America's top rung anchors, all in suits, because they're all going to sit with Blinken, barely stopping by to comfort the families and see them on the way out, because they had to go and sit down and play the game of being dressed like this and talking to Blinken, because that's what you do when you're a big shot anchor. And it really showed to me the disconnect of who you're working for and why you're doing the job. And there's no question that that's the job. You put on the suit, you go sit with the Secretary of State, you try to get a different soundbite than everybody else, and that's why you're a big shot. But that's not who matters. Who matters are those families who Blinken met with, but they came out of there just devastated.
Right.
Yeah, you could do both, but they don't matter the same. Go ahead.
Right. Just a fast plug. Killing the Witches, partly thanks to News Nation, debuted at number 2 on the New York Times list. I don't know if your barber told you that, but he did a little nifty job there with the haircut. I didn't even recognize it.
Continue.
But number 2 for Killing the Witches, okay? So maybe you might want to read that, Cuomo, and figure out why it sold 150,000 copies in 3 weeks. Maybe, and then we could discuss it, a lighter topic.
Killing the Witches, a lighter topic. Bill O'Reilly, thank you very much. Dan, I appreciate the assigned reading. All right, I'll see you next time. 4 minutes, 45 seconds. We